When did you put a boomer in their place? I was in the middle of a work meeting when my sister called. All I heard was her trying to talk through tears. Not just crying, but that raw, helpless sound parents make when someone hurts their kid and they couldn't stop it. She was sitting in the parking lot of the convention center trying to get the words out. Her son Evan, my 10-year-old nephew with muscular dystrophy, had been waiting months for this charity meet and greet with his favorite NFL player. It was all he talked about during his painful physical therapy sessions. All that kept him going when his legs wouldn't cooperate and his muscles betrayed him. They'd waited in line for 2 hours. Evan in his wheelchair wearing his jersey dying from excitement. When they finally reached the front, this old man in a $1,000 suit just bulldozed through. Gray-haired, probably 68, reeking of cologne and entitlement. My sister confronted him saying they were next, but he took one look at Evan and said, "I paid 75 grand to be here. I'm not waiting behind some crippled kid." Then he shoved Evan's wheelchair aside, hard. Evan fell sideways out of his chair and hit the floor. He scraped his hands badly trying to catch himself. The worst part was, he was so scared and embarrassed that he wet himself right there in front of everyone. Instead of feeling an ounce of remorse, the donor literally stepped over him to get his photo, while Evan lay there crying. My sister said the old man was laughing with his entourage while her baby was on the ground. I told her to take Evan home and that I'd handle this. She started to protest, but I hung up and called my boys. Zion, who works security for high-end homes. Matthias, who does special effects for those extreme haunted houses. And Nicholas, who's a sound engineer. We found out everything about this donor. He lived alone in a mansion ever since his wife died. Yeah, someone actually married that piece of crap. Posted constantly online about parasites and welfare queens and how disabled people were draining society. The man was terrified of becoming disabled himself. We decided to give him a taste of that fear. The first night we kept it simple. Zion disabled his security system remotely, while Matthias and I snuck in and covered every mirror in his house with pictures of wheelchairs. On his bathroom mirror, Matthias used some chemical that made words appear in the steam. You pushed him down. The next morning, Zion watched through the reactivated cameras as the donor stumbled into his bathroom and screamed when he saw the message. He ran from room to room, ripping down the wheelchair photos with shaking hands. Called the cops, but they dismissed it as a prank. The second night got more intense. Nicholas had installed tiny speakers in his air vents during the day when he was out. At 3 a.m., children crying echoed through the walls. The lights flashed on and off like a horror movie. Matthias had put a bloody child-sized handprint on his bedroom window using his movie stuff. Through the cameras, we watched him jump out of bed and run around with a baseball bat shouting, "Who's there?" over and over. He called the police again, but everything was gone when they arrived. They probably thought he was losing it. After they left, the donor sat in his living room with every light on until sunrise, clutching that bat. The third night was psychological warfare. We surrounded his bed with wheelchairs while he slept. When he woke up, his TV turned on by itself. It played security footage from the charity event on loop. Him pushing Evan, my nephew, falling over and over and over. He tried to turn it off, but it just kept playing. It didn't stop until he threw a lamp at the screen. The fourth night nearly broke him. He woke up with his legs tied together with zip ties. There was a note on his nightstand that said, "Imagine never walking again." Every door in his house had wheelchairs blocking them. The man had to crawl on his hands and knees to get them out of the way. We watched as he sobbed while dragging himself across his marble floors. He kept screaming, I can walk," like he was trying to convince himself. After he freed his legs, he ran out the house. The final night, we stood outside his bedroom window wearing masks. I held up a sign that said, "Apologize to the boy or it gets worse." I could see his soul leave his body when he spotted us. He scrambled for his phone to call 911, but we were gone in seconds. After we left, he packed a bag and tried to leave, but his car wouldn't start. Nicholas had taken care of that. The man spent the rest of the night in his kitchen holding a knife and crying. The next day, he showed up at my sister's house, looking like he hadn't slept in a week. His hands were shaking as he held out a check for $50,000. He got on his knees in front of Evan's wheelchair and sobbed out an apology. Kept saying he was sorry that he was wrong, that he'd never forgive himself. Evan, because he's a better person than any of us, actually forgave him. He moved out of state a month later. Heard he was too scared to stay in that house. Don't know why.